the number 27 of our second book in the trilogy, The Tower at the End of the Time by Amy Sparks. So we've got up to, my memory's terrible, I can't actually remember. That's right. So they actually saved Gazillion from the hourglass, remember? They could have left him, but they're better than that. So they've all now gone through to the next stage. Everyone stared at Gazillion. Why? Began Nine, but Flabbergast clapped his hand over her mouth. Do not waste time. Do not waste your question, madam. The stone throbbed. Beyond what? Oh, that's right, yeah. So, not Spoon. It was Spoon, wasn't it? Gazillion and Spoon have both got to the stone of truth at the same time, and they've both asked the same question. Where is Professor Dish? And we didn't know that Gazillion knows Professor Dish, and we're not sure why he wants to know Professor Dish. I haven't been back through the other books. I'm pretty sure there was something about Spoon and Dish need to be together and they know the secret to something, or there's a map to somewhere. I don't know. Hopefully we'll find out. Spoon frowned in confusion, but Gazillion smirked. He quickly turned, raised his turnip-coloured trouser leg, and with a quick flick, he booted Spoon across the room, sending him crashing into an hourglass. I haven't forgotten you, Gazillion said, pointing at Flabbergast. I will find you, and I will fry you. But you can wait, for he tossed his greenish hair, have pressing business to attend to. Then he flounced out of the room. Spoon stood up dizzily and started to run after him. Spoon, called Nine. You didn't finish your question. Maybe the stone only answered Gazillion. Spoon dashed back to the stone. And how the devil do we stop that flaming house from hiccuping so we can find Dish? Tickle. Spoon nodded at the sulky stone, then sprinted for the doorway. Back here, turnip head. I've got questions for you. Nine was torn, wanting to chase after him, but she had come all this way with a question. Flabbergast stepped closer to the stone. Its amber glow lit up his face. Come on, ask your question. We must get back to the house. I thought of Flabbergast. Come on, ask your question. We must get back to the house, said Nine. Then she frowned. But now we know how to stop the house hiccuping. I could ask something else. Flabbergast stared at the stone. I could ask how to restore my magic. Then I could win the hopscotch, he murmured. Prove myself. No longer be Flabbergast the unworthy. I don't think you're unworthy, said Nine, and neither did Eric. She pulled her music box out of her satchel. She thought of the yellow eyes in the wall. It was unbearable. She pulled Flabbergast's cloak more tightly around her shoulders. Her throat tightened. She had a promise to keep. I'm sorry about your music box, madam, said Flabbergast. Nine nodded. All the feelings she had tried so hard to push back while they fought for their lives now threatened to rise up like a tide inside her, to overwhelm her, defeat her. Tears were burning, pushing behind her eyes, and Nine knew if they fell, they would fall forever. You ever have that feeling where you cry, and you know if you're going to cry, sometimes you just can't stop? This is how Nine's feeling. She doesn't like to feel vulnerable, does she? Oh, get on with it. Shut up, roared Nine, because oh, get on with it is the tower talking, being quite rude. So Nine's telling her, or telling it. Shut up, roared Nine, her sadness twisting into anger. You can't shout at me. I am in control. Flabbergast looked at the stone. Yes, about that, he said. I really don't think you are anymore. What? How do I free everyone in this tower? Asked Flabbergast. Nine turned and stared at him. That's my question. What? The asking stone groaned. That was my question, said Nine. Answer me, Flabbergast bellowed at the stone. For crying out loud. Blue. Blue, said Flabbergast with a frown. I have no idea what that... Next. Make it quick. I'm really not in a good mood. Nine's heart thumped. It was now her turn. But she didn't need to ask She didn't need to ask about the gargoyle. Her promise was now fulfilled. She could ask whatever she wants. She stared boldly into the stone. How can I find out what my music box is saying? Burn. There. Done. Happy now? Go away, horrid little creatures. That's the tower talking. The amber oval stopped pulsating. What? But is that it? Said 9. Heat inside her rising. One word? Aren't you going to tell us what to do with these words? There must be more, said Flabbergast. There used to be more. No. Clear off. The tower's very blunt. No, wait, cried 9. All this for tickle and blue and burn? The yellow eyes in the wall were bursting her heart. You need to explain. I really don't. None of that even makes sense. We lost everything. Talk to me. I'm not talking anymore. The deafening silence of a definitely not talking asking stone. Fury was erupting inside, and 9 kicked out at the stone. As soon as she did it, she and Flabbergast were blasted across the other side of the room. 9 landed hard on the floorboards and the cloak flapping over her. Madam, we should leave before we make matters even worse, said Flabbergast, standing up immediately. Worse? Bellowed 9. How can they possibly get any worse? Flabbergast pulled 9 up and stared her towards the door. Stop pushing me around, shouted 9, fighting off his hands. Don't touch me. She should never have allowed herself to care. Not about the troll, not about the music box, not about the house, not about anything. Tears blurred her vision. That's what we get. We still don't know how to fix the house. We lost everything. Everything. Life does bring you strawberries, and then it takes them away. This is what she's saying to herself. So it's obviously, I think it's a motto we had in the first book, isn't it? She threw the music down. She threw the music box down. Oh, that's what they used to have to say, isn't it? To get in her house where she lived with pockets. She threw the music down. She threw the music box down onto the floor in front of the asking stone and stormed out of the room. A smug voice whispered after her. Told you I was in control. Foolish askers. Tower's not very nice, is it? 9 stood outside the doorway and she wiped her tears away. Tears that she could no longer force back. She stared at the wooden ladder with unfocused eyes. She just wanted to kick until every inch of her was broken and exhausted and empty. Ah! A distant, agonised wail came from the top of the ladder, breaking through 9's thoughts. Spoon! Flabbergast dashed past her and began to climb. 9 followed as quickly as she could. Let him be all right. Let him be all right. No, don't care about him. Don't care. Shut it down. Shut it down. So again, she's talking to herself. Hot on Flabbergast's heels, 9 crawled through the small doorway at the top of the ladder. She was inside the pointed roof of the tower, a wide, round room with a stone-lined ceiling spiralling up to a narrow point supported by wooden beams. But no spoon. 7 translucent circles, one of each circle of the rainbow. They were dotted around the room. They were as tall and wide as 9, and whooshing around the hazy edge of each circle was a crackling silvery light, like magical wheels somehow in motion, except the circles didn't move. Gazillion stood by the green circle, peering into it thoughtfully. He had a bleeding nose and little slashes in his cloak. Where's Spoon? 9 demanded, coming to stand beside Flabbergast. I think we've had enough questions, mortal, don't you? Sneered Gazillion. See you back at the Hopscotch Championship. Flabbergast the unworthy. I'll look forward to that. After all, my powers will be restored once I leave the tower. He flashed them a half smile, jumped through the green circle, and then he disappeared. As he did so, they saw Spoon lying on the ground, behind where Gazillion had stood, the sword close to his outstretched, motionless hand. Motionless. So Spoon's not moving. On the floor. What has Gazillion done to Spoon? Is he okay? Do we now have no Eric and no Spoon? Is there just Nine and Flabbergast? Find out in chapter 18. Not 18, chapter 28.